All right, cool. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 5 of the Lenny Poliziani show. I got Keston on purpose on here today, man. I'm pumped to have you on here. I appreciate you spending some time today, and we got a lot of things to talk about, I think.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to be with your audience. Can't wait.
Yep, 100%, man. I'm pumped up. So why don't you just give the audience a little background about you and whatever you want to say, and then we'll kick it from there, man.
Oh man, you want the entire show to be done with this intro.
I was gonna say, I don't know if we'll get off the intro, but
so
it's your show, bro.
Nah, so I'll try to keep it short. Keston Glasgow, born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago. Moved over to the U.S. when I was 16, and that was in 2002 when I moved to the U.S. and went to college here. Finished my education here, and then I started working for Apple. Was my first actual job, but even before Apple, coming over, I was an immigrant, right? So I did a lot of construction just to make ends meet.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know, even before doing construction, I would go handing out flyers to Golden Crust on 42nd Street and just hustling, looking for ways to provide,
Yeah.
And kind of moving forward, got my first job that I had was at Apple. I worked at Apple for maybe, let's say, almost a year. Then I got my bachelor degree in communication technology. And that was it's a wide topic, right? So I kind of used it based to suit me, and what I actually did was video editing and that type of stuff to be a part of film. I really wanted to be in film and editing movies and all that type of stuff.
Wow.
But I had a son, and in that film industry, it takes a while to land a gig, right? There's a lot of interning, but it takes a while to get a job. So when his mom was pregnant at that time, I'm like, man, I need money now. What could I do? And so I used that terminology of communication technology and went into IT and just said, hey, this is IT. And so I started doing IT where, I started to work in was it not Needham, Fordham University in the Bronx for 2 days. Yeah. I worked there for 2 days. Wow. Then I started working for Macy's corporate on 34th Street. And I worked there for a couple of months, just over a year, maybe a year and a half. Yeah. I used to do IT for the CEO, Terry Lundgren. I did IT for him. I was his personal IT guy and helped set up his meetings and things like that. That came with a ton of benefits. And then I moved on to doing IT for a law firm on Wall Street, and started as the help desk guy. Then moved up to doing being a system analyst, and then moved up to being a cybersecurity dude. And from there, started real estate. 2020. I was there for 8 years, I believe, and moved on to doing real estate in 2020. And that was a trip, right? Because in 2020, January, that's exactly when we paid our first set of money to start doing real estate. Then what happened in March? The pandemic hit, right? And so everything shut down. And even the company that we paid at that time, man, they went ghost. And so imagine investing a really substantial amount of money, and then things just kind of went upside down. Wow. The world shut down, right? And man, it was a pivotal moment, because we had a choice. We could either be the victim right?
Yep.
And say, woe is me, life sucks.
Yep.
Or decide to just push, keep moving. Yeah, we invested that, but what are we going to do? We started, we got some knowledge. Let's use the little that we got and continue to move on. And that's what we decided, my wife and I.
Wow.
And so, you know, some of the coaches that were in that program, they started their own little thing that we continued on. And man, the momentum that they helped us get was incredible. And so at that time, we lived in New York. Now, my wife's mom was diagnosed with leukemia at the same time. This is end of 2019, 2020. And so we've been going back and forth to Atlanta, just trying to be caretakers. And so while learning and all this type of stuff, I remember like I would be upstairs, like, all right, mom, I'm gonna go upstairs and study for a little bit. And I would just go driving for dollars, not knowing what that even meant. I would just go drive and be like, what am I supposed to look for? I have no idea. They said to go drive, you know, but I did it just because I wanted to be in motion.
Yeah.
And eventually when the back and forth got pretty tough, I'm like, babe, you know what? Let's just move. Let's just go take care of mom. And with that came a lot of other spiritual stuff that I felt like God was telling me now is the time to leave my job. And so I left, not doing one deal, no deals, but I really felt like he was speaking. And so we moved, we bought a house here in the middle, kind of where her mom lived and where the hospital was. And 3 months later, she passed. And during that time, we started to build our wholesale business at that time. And within months, dude, you know, right out the gate, it was almost like our reward for being obedient. We did like 10, 15 deals back to back before December. So now it was like June and we were landing some really big, nice deals. And so we just started cranking out. First time wholesaling, first time kind of getting all these things under like in concept.
Quick start.
Yeah, quick start and boom, that was it. And that's 2020.
Wow.
Man, you asked for an intro. I'm giving you like
I love it. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
And with that, we, you know, creative financing was one of the classes that I took from that first mentorship that we joined, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Because I love creativity. And I think that anything that makes me think, that's what makes me goes. And so having that kind of analytical mind from being a cybersecurity engineer, just kind of thinking deeply and trying to work, see how we could prevent people from getting in our network, figuring out a deal kind of had the same challenge. And so I didn't want to wholesale. Matter of fact, I hated wholesaling. And I'm on video saying that. I have it saved.
I said it. Yep. I've said it before.
You know, and so we were getting these deals where I was trying to pitch creative stuff, but it just kept falling through my hands, right? And this is while wholesaling just never made me happy. Like making it, like I was just like, this blows, this sucks, you know, because I keep missing these creative opportunities. I know it on paper. I know how to structure, but I didn't know how to sell.
What do you think it was about was it the perception of wholesaling, or was it just too bland? It wasn't creative enough? What was it about wholesaling? Because I have a similar response, I think.
It just wasn't creative enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't creative enough for me. Like, even if you go on my social media, I have never posted a wholesale deal.
No, never. I haven't seen it.
I only post creative deals.
Yeah.
And so because that's what gets me excited, you know? Even today, we're closing on 2 creative deals, 100% financing. I'm gonna blow it up, right? I love creative deals.
That gets you ticking. Yep.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. You know, and so December of 2020, I joined Pace Morby's mentorship, and that's where I actually learned how to talk to sellers to lock up creative deals. And so that turned me into a monster where we went from 1 unit to, I think we ended the year with like 17 units, all in 1 year. And we're still kind of buying and selling and all that type of stuff. And so that was what I wanted. That made me happy, right? The creative deals. And, you know, in the background of doing the creative stuff in 2021, I had this multifamily bug. It's almost like I knew I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But I was kind of gauging myself with knowledge, right? The things that I learned and all of that. And so what I did was I joined a Facebook group. Multifamily, and just hung out in there. Didn't really do much. And from time to time, I would go and just read posts, not understanding anything of what they're saying. And one day I seen somebody made a post saying like, "Hey guys, we're gonna be meeting up in Atlanta," you know, and I'm like, "Oh man, I should just go." So that's what I did. I just went, you know, knew no one. I'm like, let me just go see what they do at a multifamily meetup. And, you know, when they were going around the table, I just introduced myself, told them what I did, what we had accomplished at the time, and, you know, just sharing my superpowers with them, which is basically raising money because, you know, all the properties that we bought, we did it without using any of our own money, you know, so talking to sellers and raising money, that was now my superpower that I was really good at. And went around the table, all good. They had another one. I took my wife, talked again based on what we did, and they remembered that. Coming to 2022, one of the multifamily guys called me and was like, "Hey, man," well, even before 2022, they would call me to talk to some of their sellers to try to lock deals up for them, right? And that happened infrequently. Finally, they came with a contract that was already locked up. They're like, "Hey, we got this 48 unit deal that, you know, we need money." They're like, "We need money." I'm like, "Perfect. That's easy. Let me raise money." We needed to raise 1.3 million.
Yeah.
I had never raised this amount of money yet before.
Yeah.
But I knew
from residential, you know.
Oh my gosh. It's huge, right? But I'm down for a challenge. These are the things that get me excited, right?
Yeah.
And man, just kind of practicing the law of attraction. I was in my virtual office and somebody heard me talking about the deal and asked, "Keston, I heard you said you needed money for a deal. I think I have somebody." I'm like, "Really? Cool." So they bought my person, who is Carlos, and he is now my mentor and partner in the deal, in this deal and many other deals. And that's how I got into multifamily. Simply both the contract and the money coming to me, and now we're multiplying that. And so that's where I am today. Just kind of
see it just going, man. That's why I wanted to get you on here. And I think the big word you said is simple. I think through all of this is simply action, you know, and nothing you did was complicated.
Nope. Just continuously moving, putting yourself out there, just moving, and things just keep multiplying, dude.
Man, that's crazy. And a couple of things, I mean, you touched on a lot. But the law of attraction, spirituality, that's something that I within the last, month or 2 months, I've been really, really getting into. And I'll be honest, I wasn't, as far as being spiritual and everything before, the last couple months, that was something lacking. And I felt I wasn't building from the inside.
Mhm.
And it was a lot of, I thought my results would change me. And I felt that in my business because I didn't feel like I was getting anywhere, or it didn't have meaning. So I know
Yeah.
you're big on that, and I see your content, and I loved how you brought that law of attraction and spirituality into all of this, and let's maybe deep dive that a little bit, because when did the whole mindset or building from within start with you? Is this something that started when you got into real estate, or have you always been into this stuff?
So, I mean, this kind of goes back to my parents. We've always been in church, right? We grew up in church. Although I kind of I wouldn't say stepped out because I was still in, but I used to be a DJ, right? I used to be a DJ that traveled all over the world playing music.
Wow.
And so living that lifestyle just didn't fit for what I was doing. Although I would go play a party, finish at 4 or 5, and still go to church the next day.
Wow.
Right? Because I had to be in class. That's how I seen church. And so understanding that background, although I didn't have the practices like I do now, is important. And so now that, I would say 5 years ago, maybe 6, but let's go with 5.
Okay.
I stopped playing music, right? And I stopped playing music, and that transition of not playing music anymore, which was totally God, totally spiritual again.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is just gonna sound really weird, man.
I love it.
Before I started playing music, I told my mom, I said, Mom, this is what I hear God telling me. He's gonna use me to take me and make me almost famous in music. And then he's going to turn me around and use me for something when I get there.
Whoa.
And dude, we used to play music in front of like 50,000 people, that in Spain, that was our biggest crowd, like 50,000. And so he did that. He took me, he made me into, I call it hood famous. And then took me away from it. And at that time, I didn't want to leave, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, you serious? And he's like, yeah, I told you 5 years. And it was just on 5 years. And I'm like, yo, dude,
this is trippy.
Yeah, like you're bugging. I'm like, God, listen, hold on. And so this is literally me, because every beginning of the year, I would stop doing something. I would fast, spend time, recollaborate, see whatever direction God wants me to go in, right? And so when he told me, all right, this is time for you to stop playing music, I started acting like I didn't know his voice, right? I'm like, oh, you bugging. Because we had this Europe trip coming up. I'm like, dude, when I get back from the Europe trip, I'll step down and I'll probably just manage the other people that's on the team or whatever. And dude, me and some of my best friends playing music got into fist fights. Like, and when that happened, man, it was like, all right, God, I surrender. I'm done. Cool. You clearly run this show, not me. And so stopped playing music and really started to seek God and live more of that lifestyle that has been patterned to me. But I wanted to do it with my understanding. I like thinking deeper than what people tell me, right?
You're not surface level. You're
exactly not surface level at all. And so once I started really reading the Bible and understanding it for myself, that really helped me to get to that place of God, that I knew I was in sync with his voice. It's almost like a walkie-talkie, right? You know, like you got to be on the same channel,
Frequency, yeah.
and you got to be on the same frequency. And I felt like I got to that frequency where he could literally tell me something, and I knew it was him. You know, and hence the reason why I knew it was time to leave my job and all that type of stuff. You know, because I mean,
yeah.
Having a comfortable 6-figure job, not paying rent and all these types of things, and leaving that into nothing, it got to be God.
Unknown, you know?
Yeah, man. So once I started really diving into God that way, this year is when I started with the law of attraction.
Love that.
January of this year. And shout out to my brother Don Rich. He actually put me on to this book, The Secret.
Dude, I was literally going to say The Secret before you said it. Dude, yeah. I'm on the power one. I've listened to The Secret twice. I mean, this started back in beginning of February. So this is new to me, but I'm hooked, man. I'm hooked.
Dude, I was listening to it this morning.
I was listening to the power. Have you listened to the power one?
Yeah, dude.
That's the one I'm listening to.
Listen, man. I have implemented and dug so deep into The Secret where I facilitated on a Tuesday call within the mentorship. My wife and I, when we're running around looking for things for our Airbnb, I'll probably be like, baby, mind if I put on The Secret? And we're both listening to it together. We were listening to it together this morning. Like, I have listened to The Secret at least, I would say 16 times at least by now, between January and now, because it's not one of those books that you could read and be like, oh, that was a good read.
No.
This is an implementing book.
This is life, man.
Oh my gosh.
The lessons and love is what they focus on, especially in the power. And that's something I blocked out. Like, I didn't even notice. Like, but the most powerful emotions and tools, you know, that they talk about, I'm like, I'm blocking them out.
Yeah.
You know, dude, law of attraction right now. I knew I wanted to get you on here, man. This is dope. It's in sync.
No, the law of attraction, dude. I could live there forever. And I am going to live there forever, because now I literally see life like a game, like a catalog, because it's once you start getting it. And literally, I started practicing this in January, and things just started being attracted to us in ways that, like, our entire life has changed between January and now. We're in April now. 4 months from me being obsessive about the law of attraction.
And this started in January.
Yes.
With the secret, everything. Wow.
That was my first read. It was, matter of fact, it was gifted to me not even on Christmas. It was afterwards. And so that's when I started reading it. And I'm like, whoa, what just happened?
The secret. It's the secret.
Literally, dude. And that really changed my life, man, with getting unexpected checks in the mail and all these different things that I've been able to manifest. And I write it down because I use a book called The 4 Maps of Happy, Successful People. I use that
down.
Yeah, please do. Because I consider that to be the workbook for The Secret.
Wow. Where
you write down your intentions every day and visualize them, and you draw it. You actually draw it. And that book is by Robert G. Allen. And it's not on Audible because it's a doing book. You have to do what it is. And living with that intention, living with visualizing stuff, there will literally be times I write something down and it will happen the same day. And I'm like, holy crap, this is cool. Like, and that has happened at least 10 times since I've started this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's like a mixture of, because I've been journaling, meditation, you know, all this stuff is new to me, man. But it's just like you feel the energy, and it's taken, from the little negatives that were in my life. I mean, I'm just thinking with love, positivity, and I haven't had crazy things like that happen to me yet, but it's because I think that I need to. And I just had a thought. I want to do a vision board. I want to do all this. I want to start drawing. I actually drew a picture the other day, but I mean, this sounds perfect. It's a mixture between that, and you're manifesting everything through.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Literally today I wrote down, I'll get unexpected 50 grand. Like that's how I play with it now. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I get unexpected 50 grand. And since I started doing it, bro, I started working less, receiving more. It's crazy. Unbelievable. But still giving back so much energy to everyone around me, right? It's not like I'm just hoarding up everything. I feel like I'm giving way more than I've ever given in my life right now.
Yep. You have to give first to receive, they say.
That's the rule. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to just give like crazy.
Don't break the rule.
Exactly. Don't break the rule, man.
And you've did Miracle March, because I follow you on everything,
yeah,
man, and super cool. And then how about let's talk about what's going on in April right now? What's this all about? The Submission April.
Submission April. Submission is such a cuss word.
You're
right?
deep, bro. You're deep. I love it.
It's such a cuss word where you tell somebody you got to submit to something and your defense goes up.
First time I read it, I'm like, whoa, what's he doing over there?
Yeah, exactly. It's dude, you tripping. Nobody wants to go there with being submissive. And I've heard this in the past where somebody explained it, and I never forgot it. Submission is really you being sub to a mission. So you got to go down for the bigger mission to happen. And so what does that look like? Submission, and the first week we did submission and leadership. And I went to this event, 10X, with Grant Cardone, and one of my biggest takeaways was how a millionaire submitted to Grant's vision to go further.
Whoa.
And I was like, okay. So since he submitted to another person's leadership, they've been able to blow up way bigger than they had before on both sides, right? So it's mutually beneficial. Then another person, Jared, his right-hand guy, really, he submitted himself to Grant 11 years ago. And I mean, he's arguably a very wealthy millionaire submitted to somebody else.
It's like what I'm getting from it's like letting one ego, but like what you have, it's also, not holding on to what you have now and letting it go if, there's somewhere else where you want to be.
Exactly. And many times you
it's tough. That's not easy to do.
It's so hard to do, man.
I have problems doing that right now. I'm counting my chickens, I'm counting my pennies, and I'm like, but it's not going to let me empty my glass to go farther.
Exactly. And when I noticed that, like, analogies started to come to me where you have a seed. That seed is meant to be, let's say you have a apple seed. That seed is meant to be a tree to bring forth more fruit. Now, what does that seed have to do to bring forth fruit? It has to go down.
It has to go in the ground.
So it has to go sub to the ground.
Whoa.
It has to submit itself to the ground, to fertilizer, to water, to all these different elements.
Resources. Boom.
That then helps it to spring up and be this giant tree that it's meant to be and bring forth fruit and multiply. But it never happens unless you're submitted. And that blew my socks off when those visuals came to my head, when this understanding. And so I immediately submitted myself to my mentor's business, Carlos, because when I get something, I don't wait. I apply immediately. Right. And so the next week, I flew out to Colorado to be with him. I'm like, hey, man, you don't get a choice in this. I'm coming. Literally, that was the phone call. I said, I'm coming. I am submitting myself to you and your business and all that type of stuff. And he was like, come on down. Let's do it. Went in, man. And man, what an amazing experience. And so now I'm after his vision. I'm getting behind his vision of buying $1 billion in real estate in the next 7 years. And so that's kind of the submission for that was the first week. Now we're doing submitting to yourself. Oh, submitting to yourself. What does that mean? Dude, and everything that I'm talking about are from my own experiences, right? I'm not doing it based off of somebody else. Submitting to yourself is very hard. I think it's the hardest form of submission because it's a lot easier to submit to a wife. Well, that's still hard, but it's when it comes to yourself, you could always do something for somebody else before you do it for yourself.
Sure.
Right. And so for me, dude, all of this creativity, all of like speaking out, all of that, this was always in me. Why did I not do it? Because my environment didn't want me to, right?
Crabs in a bucket.
Exactly. It's like, man, you're doing too much. Why you got to do that? Why and so it kept a cap on what I thought was true, what I thought the real me was. It wasn't until I started to believe and follow God that gave me the permission to
unlimited, kind of let loose a little bit.
Let loose and submit to the things that's inside of me that we're talking about, right? Like we connected on real estate,
sure,
but you're more interested in the second part of me, which I believe is the real thing about me. It's digging deep into these types of topics.
I've always been deep, man. It's what's coming out because I felt a stranglehold. I work, I can keep taking action, all that, but I felt limited.
And that's the thing, buddy.
Whew.
I don't care. And the reason why I changed the day that I do to Transformational Tuesdays is because I don't care how good you are at whatever you do. If your mindset, if you're struggling with these internal battles, you cannot do a certain level of business. And so once I started focusing on that, man, seeing people's lives change and having these conversations and seeing how they go from one number to another. Like I have a client, man, he is crushing it. When he came in, it wasn't like that. We started working on his mind and also it's great because I understand business to a degree and, real estate. So he's getting the best of both worlds and now he is crushing it, but I think it's because of his mindset. He's letting go of the limited mindset. So it's pretty amazing.
It's crazy. And I wanted to get you on here. I mean, we've never talked deep like this. Just watching your content, but it's just timing is everything. And I knew, myself, I went through a similar thing. And it's funny, your whole backstory. I started real estate right when COVID happened, 2020, full time. I did one deal. Or you didn't do any. I did one deal before that. I was in medical device sales. I always had the deep, within me, but again, not that they were bad, not that people are bad or wrong intentions or anything, but what I was around boxed all of that up. And I think that and I'm sure you could say the same thing. People that started at the same time, some are way above here, and that was another thing too, comparing myself to other people. But um, being able to get deep and have that mindset align with what I was trying to do took me a little while. Not until like the last couple months, I was like, I have to dig deeper because everything's external. I'm thinking black and white. I'm creative, man. I always loved art. I'm all over the place. You look at my disc
Mhm.
test, I got high D, but I also, I'm kind of spread out.
Yeah.
But that creativity is always there. And that's why I got into real estate. It's unlimited. There's so many different avenues in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was always trying to create my own business and a product, and then went to a real estate meetup, and I was like, this is it, man. It's got everything I want, the people, but it took me a while to really understand that, it starts from within. And I noticed the first time I noticed it, I don't know if you have something similar, but I did a huge deal, did a couple big deals, and I worked so hard to get that result or that tangible getting paid.
Mhm.
And when it happened, I just forgot about it. It was just like, that was cool. And I'm like, and then after a while, I'm like, something's off,
Yeah.
something's not right.
Yeah.
And, it was more about what went wrong. And this, over the last year. And so I really rebooted, and I'm like, I got to build the holes up in my foundation. I got to build from within. And that's what has put me on this spiritual journey, I'd say.
Mhm.
But that self-recognition, that self-awareness, and I realized it was my mind that was holding me back, not external factors, not other people. It helps to have the right network around you,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it was my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's, dude, there's happiness is from within. You could have $1 million. There's a reason why millionaires commit suicide, because happiness is from within.
Yeah.
And I recently heard the saying that we're human beings, not human doings, right? And so you got to be what you want to see. You have to be that, because if you have an orange and you try to squeeze it, it's impossible for you to get banana to be dripping out. Like, you're gonna get orange no matter what day or time or season or situation. You're gonna get orange coming out of that thing. And so when we go through our different phases or struggles, like we like to use the excuse like, oh man, I'm hangry, right? Like I'm hungry, so I'm angry. Guess what? If you're filled with love, even when you're hangry, love is gonna come out.
Dude, I repeat it. Love first, man. That's if I'm feeling a certain way, I just repeat in my head, love, and it's makes everything. I'm less worried about the anxious future, the depressive past. Presence, being more present is a huge thing that I had to be, because my mind is just going, and a lot of times you can't control your thoughts. So all of this, is a practice of discipline as well.
Man, that's so important. So important to understand. Let me give a few tips on discipline, and especially being able to control the mind. One of the things that I've done was when I wake up, that first hour of the day, I do not look at my phone.
Huge.
Do not look at your phone, because when you look at your phone, whatever you see is going to dictate who you're going to be throughout the day. It's going to mess with your emotions.
Your natural thoughts are gone. You're seeing that content.
Exactly. You're seeing that content, and you just seen there's a war on some other side of the world. Automatically anxiety builds up, and so now you're anxious for the entire day.
Wow.
Or you see a tenant text you. They're not texting you to say good morning. They're like, something is wrong. So again, now you're anxious. And so, but when you don't look at your phone and you set the tone for your day as to with intention and say, today's going to be a day of full gratitude. Today is going to be a day of whatever you choose it to be. You get to set that tone. You get to reset. You get to be whatever you want to be. And it's so important. So that's the first thing. Don't watch your phone in the morning.
If anybody listens to this and you get that out of it, it's huge.
It's so
that
huge.
Is a game changer.
Change your life.
Whew.
The second one is very similar, but it's very big in our society today. Don't use your phone on the toilet. Leave it out. Leave it outside. Leave it, like, put it outside. Here's the reason why, man.
That's a tough one.
It's tough. It's tough. I know it is for many people, but we're robbing ourselves from our brain going into beta phase, where it just goes and it resolves problems. Tell me, when you're in the shower, isn't that when a lot of ideas come?
Ideas, energy,
exactly,
clarity,
exactly. And
what's
so
not
when
around
you're
your phone,
exactly. So the more time you could give to yourself to just have that creative time, because once you're on Instagram, your mind is controlled by whatever you see, right? And you're seeing so many different things. And so that's the second thing. The third thing, and again, it all has to do with the phone and giving yourself time. I eat with my phone upside down. So my phone is upside down when I'm eating, because I need to control my environment and my thoughts. And so this is just building discipline to control my thoughts, control my mind, what I think about, give my brain a minute to reflect on the day and maybe resolve a problem. Let's say I'm having lunch, maybe resolve a problem that I had prior. Right. And so just giving my mind that time to wander and to be creative without this controlled time. So important, man.
Biggest thing. I mean, everything's with a purpose you're doing right now, bro.
Yes. Yes. I live with extreme intention, man. Extreme intention, because when you don't give your mind an intention, then you leave it to do anything. And that's where you fail.
I think I took this from The Secret a little bit of everything, but I had the wrong impression on selfish. And that's one of those, like, submission. That's a two. You could separate that a little bit. Being selfish for yourself, not in a way of what everybody thinks the word selfish means. Okay. But fix yourself, have, like you said, give yourself that time. Don't be influenced by whatever's on your phone. If it's not needed, the first thing when you wake up, why are you putting content in your face that you're not controlling?
Yeah.
Okay. And then that's gonna, steamroll into so much else, and you're gonna be a better self. And by being a better self, you're gonna be better when you give out to others.
Yeah. 100%, man. Man, if I were to ask half of the audience, at least 3/4, what their identity is, who are you? What's your identity? And a lot of people would answer, "Oh, I'm a doctor. I'm a real estate investor. I'm a this. I'm a that." But that's really your role. That's not who you are. And this was something that I kind of had a struggle with when I stopped playing music, because that was part of my identity. That's how people knew me.
And that was a connection. Yep.
And so when I got out of that, I took a 10-day trip to where did I go? Egypt. I went to Egypt just to kind of think. And I realized that I had to detach from this role. This was a role. It didn't make me. And so from that, I could literally stop real estate today and still be super confident, because real estate is my role. It's what I do. It's not my identity. Right. And it's so important, because when you're attached to your role, that's why a lot of people, their egos are hit hard, and it's hard to move on if you're fired or something like that, because that role.
Yeah,
exactly. Wow. Exactly. So super important to learn and to love yourself. Be selfish. Take that time to understand and be with yourself for a few minutes.
You got to find your authentic self, man.
Yeah.
You got to dig deep. I think that's a huge, maybe the number one problem with mental health and just the world is that you're so consumed with all this stuff that we have, which is great. We can literally run a billion-dollar business from your phone at this point, but you're so consumed in everything but yourself. And if you don't recognize that, one thing gets taken away from you or one thing goes wrong, you're lost and you're on a spiral.
Yeah. It's so important to get this, man, because like I said, I've seen time and time again where people go all the way down depressed because they're attached to a role and not their own identity. It's key.
It's the most important.
It's who you are.
It's who you are, bro. It's who you are.
It's who you are.
And the skills and the understanding that you take away once you really, really build that foundation and understand yourself. I mean, that goes into business, it goes into your relationships, and most importantly, yourself, man. So you can stay more balanced. You're not going to be on the highs, on the lows. You're not going to be affected by even good stuff that happens, and and not know how to come down or react when something bad happens. So
100%. Like, if there's anything I could leave people with is taking the time to understand yourself, taking the time to know who you are, to learn how to control your emotions, to learn how to control your responses. Like, changing from within is the most important thing you could do for your life, even if it starts out with feeling like you don't know what you're doing.
That's normal.
But it's normal. It's the learning curve, right? You go through a learning curve that once you're learning something new, it's inevitable.
You're going to suck at it. You're going to suck at meditation. You're going to suck. I suck at meditation, man. It's new to me. I suck at it.
Yeah.
And I said it's normal.
It's normal to start there. Absolutely, man. Yeah. But I promise, and I'm seeing this in my own life, if you stick with it and you're patient with yourself, your life could change very quickly just by giving in and submitting to the knowledge and the things that we're sharing right now, so that you could essentially submit to yourself and become the best version of you.
Boom. Submission April, man.
Submission April.
Whew, it's money. Bro, well, listen, I'll wrap this up. Dude, I don't think you thought I was going to go this deep down this path, but that's why I started doing these podcasts, man. I felt like I got to connect with more people, like you. Man, we never talked deep like this, so this is dope. We're going to have to stay connected more, man.
Yes, sir.
We dropped gems. Bro, we didn't even really talk about business, real estate, bro, but this is what I wanted. This all had this drove the purpose, man. This is behind everything that we're doing. This is how you level up. This is how you live an unlimited life. Yeah. It starts from within, man. And like you said, man, submission. You gotta submit. That's the biggest thing.
Have to, man. And that's my mission, right? Where the reason why my name, I rebranded myself as Kes on Purpose.
Love it.
Is because I want people to live intentionally, man. Because once I started doing it and started to figure out ways that I could share it, I'm like, the world needs to know this. People who are lost need to understand. And so I help guide people to that, to discovering their journey to purpose and where that is. The analogy I love to use when it comes to purpose is one of the GPS. The GPS, it's impossible to use a GPS without some level of connection from AT&T, Verizon, whatever it is. And in our lives, that's our connection with God, right? You could want to do as many things as you want, but without that connection to God, you basically are offline. You're offline, just like your phone. You're offline. Then the next thing that you need is a current location. You need to understand where you are. If you try to use your GPS and it doesn't have your current location, it would give you the wrong directions. Right? So you got to have that current location. The next thing you absolutely need is a destination. You cannot use a GPS without a destination. It wouldn't give you anywhere to go. And that's your purpose. Many of us wake up day by day not knowing what our intentions are for the day, or even what our intentions are for our life. And if you're missing any of these, your GPS just wouldn't work. It wouldn't function the way that it's supposed to operate. But here's the kicker. You trust your GPS turn-by-turn signals, turn-by-turn directions. For many of us, we don't trust the voice that we hear that tells us to turn left or turn right.
You question or fight it every time.
We question or fight it. And I call that inspired thought, inspired action. That when you hear that voice in your head that tells you to turn left, and you turn left, instead of it telling you when your GPS tells you to turn right, but you think you know that you usually make a left, and then you make the left and you end up in traffic because there's an accident there. Having that connection avoids you going into these types of traffic jams. And so what I share is surrounding this analogy of discovering your purpose, your connection with God, your current location, and discovering where you're going.
Whew. Wow. That was deep.
That's what it is.
That was deep, bro. Wow, what a way to end, man. We're going to have to do, if it's all right with you, we're going to have to do a second part, third part, man. I could go on hours with you, bro. This was dope, man. I'm sure a lot of people are going to appreciate that out there. And this is all simple, man. It really is when you in the big scheme of things. I mean, it's simple concepts. It is different, it's way different from the conditioning that I think most of us have had over the last how many years.
Oh yeah.
But the proof is in the pudding, man. It works, and it's a lot better way to live. I mean, I've noticed changes. Like, you started this thing with The Secret and everything back in just January, and look at the results and the impact you're making, and I'm right there behind you, and just the day to day, not even with results, it's just how we feel, the feeling behind it, man.
Yeah,
it's real.
100%, buddy.
So, well, listen, man, I'll let you go. I appreciate it, and we'll talk soon. All right.
Yo, thank you for having me, man. Any one of your followers that want to follow, please follow me on Instagram at Kes on Purpose. That's KES on Purpose. See you guys soon.
All right.
Thanks, bud.
Bye.